After Hong Kong handed back from United Kingdom to China in the year 1997, Hong Kong people start to ask questions that China will slowly dispossess Hong Kong freedom. Hong Kong pro-democracy movement, or the Umbrella movement, is the movement demanding the democracy of Hong Kong after the interference of China to devour Hong Kong.
The umbrella movement in Hong Kong gets attention from people around the world. They use new strategies that inspire many other movements. Let's look at some strategies that they use. 1. Be water. They use flash mob strategy instead of occupying at one location. They may meet at one location and disappear quickly before the police come. 2. Leaderless. Since their leader got arrested, the protesters continue to protest without a leader. They use online platforms such as LISKG and Telegram to create a poll and take an action according to the votes. Since this is a pro-democracy protest, the leaderless idea shows real democracy. 3. How to deal with tear gas. Since people use tear gas against the protesters many times, protesters know how to deal with it. The protesters cover tear gas with traffic cones and pour down water inside the cone before the gas spread. 4. How to dress. Protesters usually wear black shirts when they are protesting and change to other colors when they finish their tasks. Some protesters wearing face masks to cover their faces. 5. Protective equipment. Protesters use goggles and helmets to protect themselves from water cannon and tear gases. Some of the front row protesters wear full protective dress, including gas masks and makeshift armor. They use umbrellas, swimming boards, and road signs as a shield. They use foil to wrap their identification card, subway card, and credit card. They also use one-way ticket card to avoid the police recording their movement. 6. Sign language. Protesters use sign language to ask for protective equipment from the supply team and hand it to the front row. The equipment was passed along a human chain. 7. Retaliate the police. Some protesters fire back the tear gas at the police. Some throw bricks, water bottles, or petrol bombs at the police. They also use lasers to point at the camera and the police to make the police work harder.
The Chinese government created laws to restrain Hong Kongers from expressing their demand for democracy. The laws only require little criminal action, but penalties are simply too high. For example, Hong Kong protesters at worst might be sentenced to jail for the rest of their life by just a post about democracy on the Twitter. Another major obstacle for Hong Kong protesters is the violence escalated by the government side, especially from the police officer. Although Hong Kong protesters initially prefer to protest peacefully, the violence is inevitable as the police officer violently abuse them by force and weapons. Another threat for Hong Kong protesters is COVID-19 pandemic. According to the situation, no more than 4 people gathering in the public is allowed, and the social distancing is required. This also provides a major threat to Hong Kong protesters, and there are plenty of protesters who want to stand for democracy but don't want to risk themselves to be infected by COVID-19. The Chinese government is obviously controlling the state of media and providing one-side information. The state media only display the escalation of violence done by the protester side. As the state of media is the main source of information, most of mainland people have a misconception on Hong Kong protesters as they were built as a threat in the mainland people's eye.
However, social media play an important role to Hong Kong protests. Pro-democracy protesters use the internet to, first, raise awareness about cybersecurity and educate people. Second, a tool to communicate with public. They also have hashtags about umbrella movement on the internet such as hashtag Occupy Central, hashtag Umbrella Revolution, or hashtag Occupy HK to make people see and show their opinion on it. The reason that people use social media in protest is because when it has activity or information, it is really quick to get news. People also use social media to communicate among groups of protesters. They assign the meeting place and share posters or infographics about how to prepare protective equipment and how to deal with police. Joshua Wong told protesters to download an application named FileChat. This app makes the user communicate with others by using Bluetooth without internet and other signal. so they can communicate with others in the area where the government blocked the internet. Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram use censor content and content violence. Many people use file chat when protesting because nobody can block or censor the information, so people turn to use this app because it is safe and easy to use.
Hong Kong protests claim themselves as a leaderless mob. However, there are two biggest supporters of the protest who bet their life for the freedom of Hong Kong people: Joshua Wong and Agnes Chow. Joshua Wong, the teenager who started to go against the national curriculum in 2012. He claimed that this curriculum will be the tool of China to brainwash young Hong Kong to be nationalism and China communism. She thought that this would deprive the freedom of young Hong Kong and make them to become the person who are afraid to ask questions. Joshua Wong and Agnes Chow started to gather a group of students to stop this eccentricity. The group of people got bigger and bigger, from 10 to 1,000. Finally, the Beijing government and Tsai Liang, who was the Hong Kong leader at that time, decided to cancel the curriculum. Joshua Wong told that this was the starting point, then China will slowly dominate Hong Kong. He said that he will not leave Hong Kong and fight for it. Agnes Chow, a woman who is Mulan in real life. He started to critique China mainland government when she was young with Joshua Wong. She is representative of both women and a new generation. She breaks the belief that woman is always weaker than a man, that contrary to belief of the old generation in Asia. She also loves Japanese anime, and she can speak Japanese fluently. So she went to Japan to tell Jisoo Abe government to speak out about democracy protests in Hong Kong. But then she needs to stop because of the national security law. She is not just the main supporter of the mob, but she is also betting her life on the freedom of Hong Kong people. All the way, she needs to face many difficulties from the dictatorship of China. She said that it usually had undercover police walking around her home and also had an infrared camera near her home. In interview, she said, "Many people say they want to lose weight, but I don't. I try to live and eat normally, yet I cannot gain any weight." She stirred about this very much until she confessed that she had a symptom of phobia of doorbell and knocking. And she ended up saying how to overcome fear. "If anyone knows a way, please teach me."